The demand for a referendum in the southeast region of Nigeria, particularly for the Biafran question, has reached new heights. The headline, "Update on Biafra Referendum, Southeast Get Ready, It's Happening," signals a momentous shift in the conversation. But what does this mean for the people and the nation as a whole? Let's talk about what's happening right now, where this movement is headed, and why it matters. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel for more updates like this. Also like, share, and subscribe. Now, the southeast of Nigeria, also known as Igbo land, has been a hotbed for calls for independence or self-determination. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, led by Nnamdi Kanu, have been at the forefront of these calls. Kanu, from his detention, recently reached out internationally with a letter to former US President Donald Trump, asking for a supervised referendum on Biafra. He's not just asking for a referendum in Nigeria, but pushing for international oversight. This request has escalated the issue to a global conversation. People in the Southeast feel deeply that their region has been marginalized, whether in politics, business, security, or overall development. That's why this call for a referendum has become a rallying point for many. But why does this matter? It's more than just about a region wanting to secede. This is about national unity. If the Southeast gets what it's asking for, it could spark similar movements in other parts of the country, questioning the structure of the Nigerian Federation. Could this lead to a ripple effect across the nation? It's a real concern. While the Southeast is asking for independence, other regions are also looking for more autonomy. The nation could face the possibility of more calls for self-determination from other ethnic groups or regions. And when that happens, you start talking about a rethinking of the entire country's political and social structure. But it's not just about theory. The Southeast has been simmering with tension for years. We've seen protests, sit-at-home orders, clashes, and confrontations. The region has witnessed an alarming level of unrest, with people claiming that their rights are being trampled on by the federal government. This sense of injustice, this feeling of being overlooked, has fueled the push for a referendum. Many in the region feel that the federal government has failed them, and the political system has neglected their concerns. In fact, some in the region have said that they would rather be independent than continue to stay in a country that they feel doesn't cater to their needs. What we're seeing is a convergence of several factors. On one side, there are the passionate voices demanding change and justice, and on the other, there's the fear of disintegration. The people of the Southeast are not just asking for a referendum. They are also asking for respect, dignity, and an acknowledgement of their rights within the larger Nigerian context. And that's a call that's hard to ignore. But what's happening now is more than just rhetoric. The call for a referendum is gaining real momentum. Nnamdi Kanu, despite being detained, is still a major voice in this movement. He continues to push for a resolution that will give the people of the Southeast a chance to decide their future. His letter to Trump may seem symbolic, but it's a powerful reminder that international attention can shift the dynamics in Nigeria. The world is watching, and it's no longer just a local matter. It's now a global conversation. In addition to the calls from IPOB, other regional groups like Ohanaeze Ndigbo Youth Council have weighed in. They've rejected the idea of international military intervention, but they still support the peaceful pursuit of self-determination. This division within the Southeast itself shows the complexity of the issue. There are voices in the region that will want peaceful negotiations, while others are more radical, pushing for full-scale independence. And while some may argue that the region has the right to decide its future, others fear that such moves could spark further violence or destabilization. The question now is what the next steps will be. Will the federal government take the calls for a referendum seriously, or will they dismiss it like they've done in the past? Can the country continue to stand united with these growing calls for self-determination, or will Nigeria's fragile unity be shattered? These are the questions on everyone's minds, and there is no clear answer yet. The people of the Southeast are being told to get ready, as the movement for a referendum seems to be gaining traction. But what does this mean for the everyday person? For the people living in the region, this is not just a political matter. It's a life-changing moment. The very fabric of their daily existence could be altered depending on how this movement progresses. They need to understand the implications, be prepared for the consequences, and also remain united in their call for justice and fairness. For those of us outside the region, it's important to pay attention to what's going on. The push for a referendum is not just about one region, it affects the entire country. Whether you're in Lagos, Kano, or anywhere else, the outcome of this movement could have far-reaching consequences for how we view governance, unity, and the future of Nigeria. But even beyond the political drama, this situation calls us to reflect on how we treat each other as Nigerians. The Southeast is asking for justice, but can we find a way to address their concerns without causing more division? Can we move toward greater unity while also respecting the rights of the people to determine their future? These are difficult questions, but they are essential to Nigeria's future. As we move forward, we need to keep the conversation going. This isn't just about politics, it's about people's lives. It's about the everyday Nigerian who wants to feel safe, heard, and respected. And in this moment, the Southeast is saying, we deserve better. How the federal government, the international community, and the Nigerian people respond to this call will shape the future of our country. The pressure for the Biafran referendum is not just a matter of local politics. It's a significant nationwide concern. The Southeast's call for self-determination is rooted in years of perceived injustice. And as the momentum builds, the key question is how the federal government will respond. Historically, the government has been reluctant to engage directly with these separatist calls. They have been more inclined to label the demands as disruptive and have often used force to suppress such movements. But now, with the international spotlight turning toward Nigeria, there is more at stake than just regional stability. It's about Nigeria's future as a united nation. The people of the Southeast feel that their cries for justice have been ignored. They have seen little investment in the region, faced disproportionate security crackdowns, and have been politically sidelined. For many, the feeling is that Nigeria's system has failed them, and a referendum offers a way to restore dignity and control over their own future. The desire for Biafra is not just about political autonomy, it's about addressing decades of marginalization. In this context, the referendum isn't just a vote, it's a lifeline. The challenge now lies in whether this movement can be peaceful or whether it will escalate into more unrest. The Southeast is already marked by incidents of violence, with some members of IPOB advocating for an armed struggle. However, there are also those who argue for peaceful means of change, dialogue, negotiation, and compromise. The tension between these two factions could determine how the situation evolves. It's also important to think about the broader implications of a referendum. What would independence mean for the Southeast? It's easy to say, we want to be free, but the reality is that creating a new country involves many complexities. What about trade, infrastructure, and security? Would the Southeast be able to manage these on its own, or would the challenges be too great? These are tough questions that require deep thought and planning, and they're questions that both the government and the people of the Southeast will need to confront. Another aspect of the referendum that cannot be ignored is the role of the international community. Nnamdi Kanu's appeal to former US President Donald Trump asking for a referendum to be internationally supervised is an important one. It suggests that the Southeast is not just seeking support within Nigeria, but is looking for global backing. This brings the issue to the world stage, forcing international actors to consider Nigeria's handling of internal conflicts. If the global community decides to intervene, it could either stabilize the region or make things worse. But what is clear is that this is no longer just an internal Nigerian issue. It has become part of a broader geopolitical conversation. At the same time, we also need to think about the effects of this movement on the Nigerian government's ability to maintain control. If other regions start making similar demands, it could lead to fragmentation. A country like Nigeria, which is already dealing with a multitude of ethnic groups, religions, and cultures, could find itself in a difficult position if regions continue to push for autonomy. The government would have to make some tough decisions about how to handle these calls without further alienating any group. This is where unity becomes a critical issue. Can Nigeria find a way to keep the country united while addressing the legitimate concerns of the Southeast? Is it possible to create a system where everyone feels represented and heard, or are we heading for a more fragmented, divided nation? This is something that needs serious discussion. As we continue to watch the events unfold, it's essential that all of us stay engaged in this conversation. Whether you're in the Southeast or another part of Nigeria, the impact of these developments will be felt by everyone. If a referendum takes place, it will be a turning point for the entire nation. And if Nigeria remains united, how will it adapt to accommodate the diverse needs and demands of its people? For those in the Southeast, now is the time to stay informed and be prepared. Whether you support the referendum or not, the developments in this movement will affect your future. For those of us in other parts of the country, we need to ask ourselves, what does Nigeria look like in the future? Can we build a more inclusive country, or are we headed toward division? It's a question we all need to think about. So, if you're watching this and you're from the Southeast, what are your thoughts? Are you ready for a referendum, or do you think there's another way forward? If you're outside the region, what do you think about the movement? How should Nigeria respond to these calls for self-determination? Drop your comments below and let's keep the conversation going. And if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's keep talking about these important issues. The future of Nigeria is in our hands, and it's up to all of us to shape it. See you next time.